Future of agriculture, 2 words. Soil health, of course. Shepherdess at Harmony Farms here with a spring and summer recap vlog. I want to say thank you so much for all the work you did on that lamb. I know we lost it, but you did such a good job and I want to thank you for it. I think one thing dies and my whole career is over.
Yeah.
And the reality is everybody has losses on one scale or another. And I don't know why it is that I can host 20 podcasts, but then get invited to one podcast and feel really nervous.
I think it's interesting to talk to you because, generally the people that we're talking to are, have multi-generational farmers. They've been doing it a long time. So you being new, I want to get your opinion on the average age of a farmer, around 64, 65 years old. I mean, what does someone new to the industry think about that?
We have 8% of the farming population is 35 or under, and I think 34% is 64 and over. And when you have demographics like that, that says this is an industry that's going into extinction. And to be honest, it's the only industry we can't afford to lose as a humankind, really.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, special announcement that the Make America Farm Again shirt, copyright Shepherdess 2021, is now in stock at shopshepherdess.com. All right, Shepherdess at Harmony Farms here. Early rising. Got a little bit of a summer routine going on. We're hitting close to 100 degrees every day. Switching my moving time from 11 a.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning, which for a non-morning person, it's kind of a challenge. But it's been so hot that, number one, I'll have a heat stroke if I continue to work in the middle of the day. And number two, I've noticed that the sheep, their grazing has kind of turned off a bit. First 90-degree day, I noticed their grazing went down by like 30%. I was like, that's really weird. So I kind of thought, well, there's probably some level of stress on them having that heat, and so I'm kind of switching their grazing times over to early day so they can get their grazing in 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. I had somebody email me and ask what kind of challenges you'll face. And overall, having sheep on pasture it's the way you're supposed to run animals. The challenges, I would say, are hooves and parasites. You're going to hear me talk about parasites a lot, and some people might get tired of it, but it's just where I live. We're probably going to hit 60 inches of rain unless we have a drought over summer. And probably the more rain you have, the faster you need to move your animals, and the more you need to be watching out for parasites. Then hooves. And that's again associated with the wetness that we have here. We do a once a year hoof care, and we will trim and soak their hooves in a solution for antibacterial. And then a third one is predators. On pasture, we lost probably 2 or 3 sheep over the course of 2 years to predators. Now we've got really tight fencing and have not lost any in about 2 years. Most of our losses came before we had this tight hog panel perimeter fencing, but we have 3 sort of big dogs that are more pets than guardian dogs. They don't really bond to the flock in that they stay with the flock, but they're in the fields kind of barking at night, so that helps. The flock dogs that I made a video about, the livestock guardian dogs, like I said, they didn't really bond with the flock overall, but we keep them in the pasture. They're not porch pets, they're pasture dogs, and so they'll stay and roam the field. Since we're kind of talking about predators, one other thing that I do have, and I don't really know if this actually works or not, but it is a predator light, and it is just a big flashlight with a flashing mechanism on it. So at night I will set it out with outside of the paddock and turn it on. Rumor has it, coyote do not like flashing lights.
Today, we're down in Dallas-Fort Worth area. We're talking with Grace, the shepherdess there at Harmony Farms. So you guys had to figure out the rotational grazing compared to just, putting them out there. I mean, that's something that, you just have to learn, right?
It really is, and it was kind of the only way I could make it work on such a small acreage. And it really became an economic issue because I thought, I've got to get to 80 sheep, to be profitable. And I thought, with rotational grazing, I can increase the productivity of this 23 acres and maybe have a chance at profitability with what I have right here with very few, further inputs.
We can't really keep up with the grass. I mean, we're moving our animals. Animals are grazing everywhere, but it's growing really fast right now.
Yeah.
I kind of was like, I never want to use the lawnmower on the pasture, and then all of a sudden you're using the lawnmower on the pasture.
Well, it just kind of like replicates the grazing.
It does. Well, what you do is you move the chickens to the patch. Let them graze it when the grass is tall, and then you'll mow after the chickens so that their fertilization goes straight to the ground. I thought that was a pretty good explanation. Made me feel more at peace. And plus, if I just can't graze it, it's gonna go to seed. Anything inspirational that you want to tell people?
Okay, I just had an inspirational something in my mind.
Just had some inspiration.
Think big, start small, don't quit.
Oh, I love it!
We need to get that on a t-shirt.
Get it on a t-shirt? Okay, we can do that. ShopShepherdess.com.
A lot of people have a dream, right? Or have an idea to get started in some sort of agriculture, right? And a lot of times they don't get started because of that initial cost to get going. What's your opinion on that?
Evaluating your existing resources is a big deal. I would not encourage any young person to go into debt for this lifestyle right up. So just look at what you have. Do you have 23 acres of grass? And then get to your research as to what you can do with that. Just to give a personal perspective, I had 23 acres of grass, and I went out and I spent about $2,000 on an electric fencing system to move these animals through this property. That's about the end of my large-scale investment, aside from buying the animals. And that is extremely approachable for anyone.
Today's duties include repairing an electric fence line from being destroyed by a thunderstorm that rolled through. So I'm going to be fixing that electric fence line and getting a more permanent anchor point so we can avoid those issues into the future.
And you're welcome, by the way, Grace, for me not making fun of digital marketers. Because in agriculture, they don't have the best reputation. I'm just saying.
Well, I think that's the interesting parallel, because they see a digital marketer out there sweating on the pasture, and they're like, wait.
How are you finding customers?
This is where the digital marketing comes into play. Don't make fun of me, all right? My business has been marketing websites on the internet, marketing strategies for social media, and so forth. So I have just leveraged my previous occupation to get my operation on the internet and before literally hundreds of thousands of people.
What happened?
Chicken kill.
How many?
3 of them, which is not as bad as it has been, but I don't see any space here where the compromise.
Did you see them torn up or anything?
Yeah, they're right back here.
Yeah.
It would have to be
If
a weasel or
they
something.
died of like a heat stroke or something, they
that's so
would
gross.
not have been. I mean, they wouldn't have had the others would not have had the incentive to peck at them enough to like actually draw blood and start.
Yeah, but I
like
just can't,
cannibalizing.
honestly, I can't see where anything's dug. You get spacer in here.
Yeah.
It seems like a small space, but really, you'd be surprised what they can slip through.
Yeah, I mean this
And-
spot's
and
even
look right
wider
in here.
too.
If they could scale it,
Yeah.
they can get through here. So that would be another spot.
Yeah,
And then
I
if
thought. I mean, yeah, really functional.
So when stuff of mine dies, I get really fatalistic. And I'm like, oh man, this is the end. You're better than me. You're always encouraging me out of it. How do you deal with it when disappointments like this happen, when you worked really hard and then in one night something gets 3 of the animals you worked really hard on? Or 30 like it was last year. I mean, thankfully this wasn't as bad.
Yeah. I don't know. I just it's happened so many times. Just kind of get used to it. You learn to get used to it, and just be thankful that they didn't get away with more than they did.
That's pretty practical.
But just, yeah, find out what's going wrong so it doesn't happen again. It's all just like an opportunity to fix what needs to be fixed and get better.
Yeah. I think what I've been coming to terms with is that my fatalism comes from the fact that I think one thing dies and my whole career is over.
Yeah.
And the reality is everybody has losses on one scale or another. I mean, hopefully you can take what you learn and cut them. But whether people say it or not, everybody's experiencing these kinds of losses. Even the experts. Joel Salatin, he factors in losses on his chicken tractors for just things that naturally happen.
True.
So death is a part of your operation, and I guess as you become more experienced, you can minimize your losses.
You know, before we run out of time, I saw that you had a verse, a Colossians verse from the Bible. What made you pick that verse to put on your website?
Yeah, in Colossians 1:17, it's Christ is before all things, and by him all things consist. And going into this as someone with no experience, I kind of knew if I had the help of the one who created it all, I would have a chance in this thing. And that's kind of the bottom line of it. And that's what I wanted to put out there for anyone who has a desire to go in this direction. You don't need anything but him, really.
Yeah.